this tutorial, I'm going to talk about the guidelines of FSMO rules. So, guidelines are just a talking point we want to raise or want to discuss. Since we already done our practicals on FSMO rules, but again, just to conclude the stage, we bring that discussion once again, and that is the guidelines of FSMO rules. Now we all know this is for example, a forest, and the first domain, whatever the first domain of your network, the forest, the first domain will get the rows of FSMO, which is called schema, and then naming masters, and then your RID, PDC, and infrastructure. So these 5 rows first get installed in your forest FSMO row. Now this FSMO rows, when these 5 masters the 5 master rows get installed in your domain, in your forest, 2 schema master and naming masters, when we're talking about the transfer, schema and naming masters should always to transfer in a one server. So for example, I have a example like I have a PDC, ADC, and then child domain controller. And for example, for some matter, my PDC are shutting down or going out of order, or we have some works to do, which took some time, some 2-3 days, 4 days, that our PDC were going to go out of order, would not work. Then if we require to transfer schema master, naming master, those schema naming not required on a daily basis and not preferred if your PDC is going to down for even for 7 days. But if your PDC going to out of order, going to remove from the forest for indefinite way, or going to remove permanently, then we have to think to actually move schema and naming. So it's always preferred that schema and naming masters should move to one domain simultaneously, and one domain, any one domain. For example, if it wants to transfer schema and naming, so better to give ownership to this additional domain controller or this CDC domain controller, the child domain controller. Also, schema and naming master should move to only global catalog server. I mean, the domain should have a global catalog thing. Now, what is global catalog thing? The global catalog is basically carries the whole database of a domain, whole database of a forest, and global catalog have all kind of database, everything from users profile to the schema updates, everything, every single thing, which whatever domain, whatever a particular domain carries, the particular domain, the parent domain carries. Global catalog is the one who carries everything, and they local whatever domain are local or not having a global catalog thing will have the details of the forest partially, means whatever that domain needs to carry is there on that additional domain or whatever domain, but since if you didn't promote that domain as a global catalog, then it only carries the uh, partial details of a forest, which that domain requires. They took from the parent domain controller. So always prefer that schema and naming masters should always promote or always transfer to only one domain and not individual. For example, you just transfer schema to additional and let naming master in the PDC. No, this is not either way to use. Now, RID and PDC also should promote only to one domain. For example, if PDC carries the RID PDC, so you can transfer the RID and PDC to this additional domain controller, and this RID and PDC also is better to promote RID or PDC, or better to transfer RID PDC into the global catalog server. Only thing out of this 5 rows, only one role, which is known as infrastructure role, are not preferred to transfer in a global catalog. It means we even saw practical. Once we tried to transfer RID PDC infrastructure, graphically we got the error, we got the message, and it is not preferred that infrastructure master role transfers to global catalog. So that's the thing. All 5 rows of FSMO flexible single master operation roles, schema, naming, RID, PDC are preferred to transfer into the global catalog server, but infrastructure not. Infrastructure roles should not allowed to transfer in a global catalog server. It means it is best that infrastructure master role is transferred to a local domain which are not having a global catalog. So global catalog means the detailed information of a forest in a particular domain, and non-global catalog means a local domain of the forest. So that non-global catalog carries the minimum of a data for forest. So it's always allow infrastructure. Okay, now we're talking about this global catalog thing, but where to get the global catalog? So this is the image. When we promote additional domain controller, we get this additional domain controller option, and you will find select additional options for this domain controller. You find DNS server, global catalog, and read-only domain controller. So if you want to promote additional domain controller with a global catalog scheme, then you have to check that. If you want to promote additional domain controller, a local additional domain controller, then better uncheck this global catalog. If you uncheck this global catalog, then this additional domain controller will promote as a local domain controller of a forest. If you put a global catalog tag, then the domain will carry all kind of database of the forest, whether it's additional, whether it's CDC, doesn't matter. It will carries all kind of database. Since CDCs there is also a domain, but a subdomain of the forest. So it will also carry what it requires to carry the database. So this is what you have to check during additional domain controller. Now when you're talking about where to find those rows, first row I'm talking about the schema master, where to find these rows. We already do a practical, so a lot many things are getting cleared. Now schema is hide. Microsoft purposely hides schema since it's a very sensitive thing, and it's not a play thing. It's a very sensitive thing. It carries collections of classes and attributes of a domain. So, and if schema get corrupt, then you need professional programmers to fix schema. So that's the reason it's a very sensitive thing. Schema basically available on schema snapping, and that schema snapping available at MMC, Microsoft Management Console. Goes to run, put the MMC, add and remove snapping, and then you will find a wizard, but you won't get that schema since you have to register the schema first. So the command we have to put is shmmgmt.dll. This is what the command is. To get the schema, you have to register the schema reg svr32. This is the command reg svr32 space schmmgmt.dll. So this is what the command is to register schema. And when you register schema, then goes to run MMC, add and remove snapping, and then you will get the list of schema management. Just select that schema management. Another thing which is called as naming master. Naming master will available to your Active Directory domain and trust, which is goes to start administrative tools and will goes to Active Directory domain and trust. Select the domain, select the domain controller, goes to operation masters, and you will find the naming master role. Now the three roles which you get is RID, PDC, and infrastructure. These roles will available to you to goes to Active Directory users and trust. When it goes to Active Directory users and trust, and select the domain, goes to operations masters, and you will find these three rows, and then do a needful whatever you will. We already do the practicals how to do that, and we already learned where to find these rows, how to register schema, and what are the guidelines that it makes sure that infrastructure master, the infrastructure master always be transferred to non-global catalog server. It means local domain. Your RID PDC always be transferred into a one domain of a forest, and naming master and the schema also move to only one domain. I mean, the ownership should be there with one domain. And remember the schema, then naming, and then RID PDC should move to global catalog server, the global catalog domain server, and infrastructure in non-global catalog domain server. So hope you learned something about the guidelines of FSMO rows. Thanks for watching.